Imagine a place so vast that if you started walking at one edge, you could trek over 800 miles west and still be swallowed by the same canopy. This is a haven for roughly 10% of all species on Earth, long imagined as an untouched paradise. A green window into what the world looked like before humans spread across every continent. This is the Amazon. And it turns out that massive jungle has been hiding a secret history all along. For centuries, explorers whispered about lost cities buried somewhere in this endless forest. Spanish conquistadors chased rumors of El Dorado, the legendary city of gold, vanishing into uncharted territory and never returning. Centuries later, the British explorer Percy Fawcett went searching for what he called the lost city of Z and disappeared into the jungle without a trace. For generations, mainstream science treated these stories as fantasy, myths born from greed and wishful thinking. Except scientists have now found real evidence that ancient cities did exist in the Amazon. And the tool that cracked the case wasn't a shovel. It was light. Researchers used a technology called LiDAR, light detection and ranging. An aircraft flies over the forest. It's firing thousands of laser pulses toward the ground every second. Those pulses bounce back at different times, depending on what they hit, leaves, branches, or bare earth. Computers then digitally erase the canopy from the data, leaving behind a bare, three-dimensional map of the ground beneath the trees. When researchers pointed this technology at the region of Llanos de Mojos in the Bolivian Amazon, they didn't find scattered huts or a handful of isolated villages. They found the outline of a massive urban settlement, one that had been sitting undetected beneath the jungle for well over 1,000 years. This was the territory of the Kasarabe culture, a civilization that thrived between roughly 500 and 1400 CE. What the scans revealed stunned archaeologists. Huge platform and pyramid structures, raised causeways linking suburb-like settlements across miles of terrain, and an elaborate water control system of reservoirs and canals. This wasn't a scattering of primitive settlements. This was urban planning on a grand scale, centuries before anyone assumed a civilization could exist in this environment. Michael Heckenberger, an anthropologist at the University of Florida, has pointed out that similar features, mounds and causeways, have shown up elsewhere in the ancient Amazon. But what makes this discovery different is scale. Earlier examples of Amazonian settlement looked more like loosely connected villages. Llanos de Mojos has something those sites lacked, genuine large-scale centers with monumental architecture at their core. This is, by every measure, a fully urbanized Amazonian landscape. The people who built this world hunted, fished, and farmed maize, spreading their settlements across roughly 1,700 square miles of remote tropical terrain. For centuries, that terrain kept its secrets. The forest was simply too thick, too remote, and too dangerous for archaeologists to map by hand. Finding these sites on foot would have meant searching for a needle in a jungle-sized haystack. That changed when a team of archaeologists took to the air. Flying LiDAR-equipped aircraft over the region, they stripped away the vegetation layer by layer in the data, and what emerged from beneath the trees was staggering: 26 unique archaeological sites, 11 of which no one had ever known existed. Among the largest were 2 urban centers researchers already had some knowledge of, but the new scans revealed their true size for the first time, showing each stretching across roughly a square mile and a half. These centers were ringed by moats and ramparts, almost like something out of a medieval stronghold. Inside those defensive walls stood artificial terraces, of massive earthen platforms and pyramids rising more than 70 feet into the canopy. Strangely, nearly all of these structures were oriented toward the north-northwest, as if their builders were aligning their entire city with the sky itself. This kind of cosmological alignment isn't unique to this site. It shows up again and again at other ancient locations across the Amazon, suggesting a shared worldview stretching across a huge and supposedly unconnected region. From above, with the trees erased, the true shape of this civilization becomes clear. The 2 major centers aren't standing alone. They're linked to a whole web of smaller settlements by causeways, radiating outward like spokes on a wheel. Canals branch off from the city centers and connect to rivers and nearby lagoons, forming what looks like a deliberately engineered water delivery network. The only reason this civilization didn't leave behind towering stone monuments like the Maya is a matter of material, not ambition. Their buildings were made from mud brick, spectacular in their time, but far less durable than limestone. The jungle simply reclaimed what stone would have preserved. What happened to the people who built all this remains one of the Amazon's biggest open questions. Yes, a dating from the sites suggests the Kasarabe civilization collapsed and dispersed around 1400 CE, notably before any European ever set foot in the Amazon. So whatever ended it, it wasn't colonization. One leading theory points to drought. Researchers have found massive water reservoirs at multiple sites, which is a strange thing to build in a region famous for heavy rainfall, unless rainfall wasn't always guaranteed. It's possible these reservoirs were used for drinking water, or even for farming fish and turtles as a food reserve. Severe droughts have struck this region before, and it doesn't take much, just a couple of consecutive bad harvests, to unravel a civilization that depends entirely on the land around it. Here's where the story takes an eerie turn. This same region, the one now revealed to have hosted sophisticated cities and engineered water systems, is the same jungle where Percy Fawcett vanished searching for his lost city of Z. Fawcett's obsession reportedly began with a strange document called Manuscript 512, held at Brazil's National Library, believed to have been written by a Portuguese explorer. According to the manuscript, in 1753, a group of explorers stumbled upon the ruins of an ancient city, complete with arches, a statue, and a temple bearing hieroglyphic inscriptions. The document never revealed the city's exact location. That single manuscript became Fawcett's secondary obsession, running alongside his primary quest to find a place he called Zede. After returning briefly to Britain, he set out again in 1920 to find the city described in the manuscript. That expedition failed. 5 years later, in 1925, Fawcett, his son Jack, and their companion Raleigh Ramel disappeared into the Mato Grosso jungle and were never found. Some researchers believe Fawcett's theories were shaped by information he'd gathered from indigenous communities about a place called Kuhikugu. That site actually was discovered by Western researchers in 1925, the same year Fawcett vanished, revealing the ruins of roughly 20 towns and villages that may once have supported as many as 50,000 people. The discovery of other large earthworks across southern Amazonia has only added weight to the idea that Fawcett wasn't chasing a fantasy. He may simply have been in the right jungle, decades before the technology existed to prove it. His story eventually became public legend of its own. A journalist's 2005 magazine article expanded into a 2009 book titled The Lost City of Z, and adapted into a 2016 film by director James Gray. None of this makes the Amazon any less alive with mystery, or any less fragile. Farming, ranching, and energy development are reshaping this landscape faster than archaeologists can study it. The untouched forest hiding these ancient cities won't stay untouched much longer. Every year that passes is a year closer to losing evidence that took over 1,000 years to accumulate and only a few decades of bulldozers to erase. Scientists studying the region say this is likely only the beginning. Predictions suggest that within the next 10 to 20 years, researchers will uncover many more cities like these hidden throughout the Amazon basin, and some may turn out to be even larger than the Kasarabi Center's ready mapped. A parallel discovery near the Xingu River, made using satellite imaging, hints at something even more staggering. Evidence suggesting cities that may once have supported millions of people long before recorded history in the region began. Separately, satellite imagery over the Bolivian Amazon has detected networks of ancient trenches dating back to between 200 and 1200 CE, settlements potentially large enough to have ported around 60,000 people. And when researchers from the University of Florida went to verify these satellite readings on the ground, they found exactly what the images had suggested. Mounds accompanied by ditches and geogly, PHS, along with the remnants of carefully designed walls arranged around central plazas, construction with clear echoes of the same urban planning principles used far to the north by the Maya. For most of modern history, the story told about the Amazon was simple. An untouched wilderness, populated only lightly by small, scattered tribes living exactly as their ancestors had for thousands of years. Nature completely undisturbed by human ambition. That story is now falling apart. What LiDAR has revealed isn't a myth confirmed by luck. It's a systematic blind spot in modern science, corrected by a technology that finally let researchers see through the one thing that had always defeated them, the canopy itself. Benayath, that green ceiling was a landscape of causeways, canals, moated cities, and pyramids reaching toward the northwest sky, engineered by a civilization sophisticated enough to reshape the land itself, and vulnerable enough that a shift in rainfall may have been all it took to end it. The Amazon was never empty. It was simply hidden, waiting, like Fawcett suspected all along, for someone to find the right way to look.